Joining us now is award-winning director Ava DuVernay. And she met John Lewis while directing the film Selma, based on the voting rights marches in 1965. Ava, means so much to have you here on this day. Incredible to not only watch this great respect paid to this man, but I know you're tearing up, but also to look back. My family, we watched Good Trouble last night, and of course we love your movie, Selma, too. Your thoughts on this day?
What a triumph. You know, what a life well done, well done. As you were just giving the introduction, I was okay. And then I just thought about what a great person and what a triumphant life. These are happy tears because I know that John Lewis always said that day on the bridge in Selma, he thought he would die that day. And he told me that story in great detail. And to think that he lived to be 80 years old and all the accomplishments and just all the blessings that he's given this country, a country that did not always treat him the same way. And so generous in spirit, one-on-one, but then also just a giant, triumphant life. You know, I know when he was on the bridge in Selma that day, he would have never thought this. Look at what's happening. And so it's just a testament to the spirit of a man who was born out of a movement that still reverberates to this day. You know, the fact that he was so connected to the Black Lives Matter movement that he was proud of that continuation of activism, that he didn't separate himself from it. It's just very telling. And he was just an extremely singular American icon who I'll personally miss very much.
What did he tell you when you were making the movie Selma?
He told me everything. He told me everything in so much detail. We would sit and he answered every question. He was very, very open to the questions, very open to the things that I wanted to know about. Some questions I'd ask, he said, let me, that's way back there. Let me try to jog my memory, get that back. Sometimes he'd say, I need a day to remember that one. That I haven't thought about that part too often. But the spirit of his answers were always very communal. He didn't just want to talk about himself. He wanted to talk about everyone who was involved, everyone, the local leaders on the ground there who had invited him and other folks from different parts of the country into Selma. You know, but his legacy went far beyond Selma. He would talk to me about Georgia, his love for his state. He would talk to me about Troy, Alabama, because he's really just a boy from Troy. I always had to get Troy into the conversation. And you know, one memory that I'll just share is that I had the occasion to go to Washington, D.C. to share Selma at President Obama's White House. And Congressman Lewis was with us, obviously. And he took such a beautiful moment, several beautiful moments to connect with my father, who's since passed away. Because my father was from Lowndes County, Alabama. And so I'd look over and they'd be in the corner talking about Alabama. Even though we're in the White House, you know, so just a really beautiful man.
You know, Ava, I was struck by certainly the images in 1965 and the beginning of the march and the Alabama state troopers who told them to stop. And then, of course, used their batons to attack and to break the skull of John Lewis. And yesterday, in that final procession, Alabama state troopers stood there and saluted his casket. Yeah, that's change.
Yes. Well, that was a jaw dropper for me to watch. You know, and it really just speaks to. I texted my sister, who's the director of Memorial and Museum Relations at the Equal Justice Initiative, EJI, which is just down the street from the Montgomery Capitol, where we shot the end of Selma and where Dr. King and the whole cadre of leaders ended their march from Selma to Montgomery. And to see that salute made me believe in its most tangible sense that nothing is impossible. that where we are now is not where we will be in the end. That even if you can't see the end of the road, that there's a destination ahead that is going to be different than where you are now. And to think about and look at that footage and see those troopers knock John Lewis and Amelia Boynton straight over with batons, and then to see them carefully lift this is the same group of people, the same agency, these years later, gently carrying his body. If you can't watch that and believe that there's something important even in the symbolism of that, even though we know the deep divide and the deep challenges that we're having in Alabama, that alone symbolically is something that I think had great import and signals us in a direction of growth and change that I think is important to embrace.
We're seeing his hearse arrive now on the east front of the Capitol, the conscience of the Congress, who even after the Pulse nightclub shooting in Florida let us sit in, for more than 24 hours. He continued through his entire life that nonviolent resistance of pushing constantly for change in the way that he did. And his legacy lives on so much. And I want to ask you, too, just about where you think it goes from here. What are the steps still that need to be taken? The Black Lives Matter movement that in some ways he helped birth and represents so beautifully. Well,
the Voting Rights Act must be restored. There are no protections for people and their right to vote. We see the devastating consequences of that, in places like Georgia already with disastrous an election process early on this year. We can only expect that to continue. We can't just tell people to vote. The congressman knew this. At this point, it's about defending the right to vote. And so, in so many ways, we've slid back. But I believe, as the congressman did and as the congressman taught me, believe in the power of people. People can create the change. And so if people decide that they want things to be different as it relates to our right to vote, that right should not be something that you have to pay for, have to fight for, have to die for, then things will change. And that's how it changed in Selma. Congressman Lewis and many others demonstrated the danger that they had to face in order to gain the right to vote. And so that is what is happening now in the Black Lives Matter movement. It's a shame that we have to continue to share examples of our personhood and our citizenship, but we will continue to do that until these rights are gained fully. So the easy answer, there's many answers to the question, but the Voting Rights Act is top of mind, especially this year.
Jim Clyburn saying just today, Congressman Clyburn saying we should dedicate this election year to John Lewis, and certainly as everyone needs to exercise their right to vote and be concerned that no voters feel disenfranchised. Ava DuVernay, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. We're grateful to have you. We appreciate it.